So I wanted to commission a piece using the organ and the orchestra, perhaps a 15-minute piece, a celebration piece. So Karl had been endorsing the Swansea bid that when... Was it Leicester, Dundee, Swansea and Hull were in the final mix, I think. And so Hull got it. So it was a bit cheeky, really, to ring up somebody who'd been endorsing that. But you were up for it. And so we start with the idea of the piece, and this was 3 years ago. So who were we going to ask to play the organ? Well, I wasn't really sure, but I came and sat about right at the back where that door is, because I caught the end of a Halle rehearsal, and this young man came up and said, "Do you know how I can get the keys to the organ during the tea break?" So I said, "Yeah, we got the key from the porter's bit there." We sat and listened to this young man, and I didn't really know who he was, so I phoned the Halle office the next week and said, "Who was that chap who played the organ during the tea break just for fun, because he'd heard about the instrument?" "Oh, that'll be Jonathan Scott." So we got chatting, and because I'd said to Peter, "I think I found my organist." So Jonathan's here. Jonathan, we've both been involved a little bit in the gestation of this piece. Sir Karl has kindly involved us both.
Yes.
Tell us how you got going with this and what you think of the organ here.
Well, as Karl has already said, his piece is quirky and oddball, and most of the time when you suggest the organ to a composer, no matter what type of music they play or write, they suddenly go into depressing crematorium mode 90% of the time. I don't know why, but it's as if they don't want people to like the instrument. Fortunately, Karl has gone completely the other way and written something absolutely brilliant, which shows off the instrument and the orchestra both together. I'm sure you'll agree that it's a great piece when you hear it as well. But the organ here, built in 1911, and most people say, oh, it's big, one of the biggest. It's a spectacular instrument, it's one of the biggest in the world. And it's got percussion, it's got bells, you name it, everything is on it, from 32 feet down to the little tiny 1/4 of an inch long pipes. And it makes one hell of a sound, really, and you can take it from the quietest whisper up to a huge, huge sound. And so in the piece that Karl's written, you can use it as a solo instrument, accompaniment sounds, and there's probably a few surprises coming up in the last movement, also to accompany people as well. So it shows everything off, I think, of the whole instrument.
Jonathan has just told me before coming on stage that it's a few pipes short of 6,000. So
I worked it out at 5,958 this morning, and that, I think, which is how sad my morning was, really, I think. So.
Anyway, I think it's near enough to justify the title. Yeah. 6,000 pipes.
And we've added an exclamation mark now. I think it's really good. Karl, could you tell us what the three movements are about?
The first one, I must say I was quite disappointed when I turned up here and saw the blade, because I thought that I could have written a fourth movement on the subject of the blade. It's just called the blade, is it? Anyway, it's very visual. But anyway, the first piece is, first movement is called Tivoli Music Hall. And Tivoli Music Hall was a music hall that was in Hull from beginning of the century, but very active between the two wars, world wars. So it's a kind of surreal, off-the-wall kind of portrait of what might have happened in the music hall, kind of people theatre, pantomime, acrobats, whatever. So it evokes that kind of sound. And the style is more like a cinema organ than a grand monster like this. It's not exactly a Wurlitzer, but it borders on that kind of area. the second movement, lots of research told me that when I tell everyone this, they're quite surprised, that orchids are very prevalent in Leeds and the area around. And the bee orchid, particularly so, which are seen on disused industrial sites, and they appear and vanish. So the bee orchid is second, secret orchids is the second movement, and it's like a pattern piece with, as Jonathan just referred to it, of scale patterns, and it kind of replicates or give the impression of time-lapse photography when you see something in slow-mo, kind of quick motion, really, kind of coming from developing and blooming.
I think the phrase time-lapse photography fits this movement incredibly. Once you've heard that phrase, you really do get what's going on. It's a brilliant phrase, I think.
Yeah. And the last movement is to do with the sea. And there are two pieces. The first one is a shanty, sea shanty, and the second one is a hornpipe. It gets quite manic. And there's some other funny bits in it that you'll hear if you don't read the program notes, but if you do, you read what it does.
We'll keep that a secret. Thank you for that.